All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. So, you look at the New York Knicks right now, and this is a team, unfortunately, that has been losing some ground in that race, rather, for the second spot in the Eastern Conference playoffs. We know nobody's catching Cleveland right now, okay? Cavs, they've won their last 13 straight. They've got an 8-game lead over Boston for the top spot with 19 games to go. Nobody's catching Cleveland, okay? But nonetheless, the Knicks, for the most part, they've been right there with the Celtics. And now the Knicks are starting to lose some steam. They've lost their last three. Boston's won their last three heading into tonight. I know the game just started between the Celtics and Lakers at the TD Garden. But nonetheless, the Knicks are now five behind Boston. So they're looking at an uphill battle trying to catch the Celtics for that top spot, a Celtics team that they haven't beaten this year. Okay. But now, if you're New York, you've got the Milwaukee Bucks breathing right down your necks for that third spot. The Bucks have won their last four in a row. They're just 3 games behind the Knicks for that three spot. And I say all of this because it's an interesting time for the Knicks right now. And I'm not saying that to be sarcastic, none of that. But nonetheless, they're jockeying for this playoff positioning. And now they're going to have to go after it for a bit without their meal ticket. And I'm talking about all star point guard Jalen Brunson. The kid, what's going on? You're saying, what, brother? Those Knicks losses hurt. Listen, I'll tell you like this: the Knicks, clearly, we know that they've had an issue with the upper echelon teams so far this season. They're in the midst of that 5-game road trip out on the West Coast. Clearly, it didn't get started on the right foot, no pun intended. But New York has lost their first 2 games of this series. They lost to both of the LA teams, the Lakers, in overtime on Thursday night, and then, of course, the Clippers last night. They've still got 3 more on this trip. And then overall, 5 out of their next 6 are on the road altogether. I mean, so basically, it's a 7 out of 8 game trip for the Knicks on the road. And now they've got to find a way to do it, like I said, without their meal ticket, without their engine that makes things go without the guy or without the straw that stirs the drink. And I'm talking about one Jalen Brunson. Of course, we know Brunson unfortunately sustained that ankle injury in the loss to the Lakers, and he's expected to be out of action for at least 2 weeks and maybe longer. And you have to wonder how this is going to affect the Knicks. Clearly, everybody knows Brunson is the Knicks' best player. Brunson is a dying breed from the standpoint that, you know what, he's a true point guard. Okay, he's a facilitator, and that is important for this Knicks offense. Now he's not going to be there. My other thing with the Jalen Brunson injury is this: ankle injuries are so difficult to navigate. So we still got to see what type of shape that he's going to be in when he comes back from that ankle injury. And when he does return to the lineup, uh, is that ankle injury going to limit what he can do for the Knicks, especially at the offensive end of the floor? That is going to be so vital for them. But my other thing for the Knicks right now: who steps up in the absence of Jalen Brunson? Because it's an all hands on deck type scenario for the Knicks. And the other thing is this: New York is really not a deep team. And we know that Tom Thibodeau, can tax a starting lineup. We see the minutes that the likes of Brunson, Josh Hart, Carl Anthony Towns, and others have logged at times this season. You just have to wonder, like I said before, as talented as the Knicks are, is that going to wear on them? And is this going to be another one of those scenarios for the Knicks, unfortunately, or a Tom Thibodeau led team that, hey, you know what? His teams run out of gas, by the time that the postseason gets here. And of course, it carries over into the postseason. We saw it last year with the Knicks' talented team, but they became a mash unit by the time that they faced the Indiana Pacers in the second round. And of course, the rest was history. I look at it like this. I'm really interested to see how the Knicks are going to be able to roll with the punches with this, and more importantly, who's going to step up in the absence of Jalen Brunson. You got some of his former college teammates there. You got Mikal Bridges, of course. You've got a Josh Hart, Carl Anthony Towns, of course, the big fella. What's he going to be able to do for the Knicks at this point? OG Anunoby, what's he going to be able to do? It's one of those where who's going to step up, who's going to be able to seize that moment for the Knicks. And like I said, they're losing a little bit of steam right now, and they need to try to find a way to get back on track. The Eastern Conference playoffs this year, I truly think, are going to be very, very interesting. Cleveland is running away with things here in the regular season. We know that. Let's see how that carries over to the postseason. I still like the Boston Celtics as the favorites, in my opinion, to come out of the East. I'm not saying that Cleveland's going to make it easy, but I said it at the beginning of the season, and I'm sticking with it. Celtics. But then you look at the way that the Bucks are playing right now. Indiana can be a very dangerous playoff team due to the way that they play. And then, of course, these Detroit Pistons right there at number 6, they're playing with house money right now. But nonetheless, the Knicks are in that mix. And if they don't watch out, especially right now with that Brunson injury and the way that the Bucks are playing, Milwaukee could possibly catch them for that 6th spot. But nonetheless, for this the rest of this road trip without Brunson, you got to go to Sacramento Monday night. The Kings have been playing some good basketball. They're going to be at Portland next Wednesday. The Blazers have been playing some good ball for head coach Chauncey Billups. And then, of course, they finish up this road trip next Saturday night in San Francisco against the Golden State Warriors, a Golden State Warriors team that is looking a lot different since the addition of Jimmy Butler. They're home from Miami on St. Patrick's Day, and then their final 2 road games of this 7 out of 8 swing. You're on the road in San Antonio. Of course, the Spurs don't have the services of Victor Wembanyama, and then you're at Charlotte, and maybe Charlotte is the layup that the Knicks need. But like I said before, they need to try to find a way to weather this storm for Jalen without Jalen Brunson. You're looking at the very least, he's probably going to be out until they take on Washington at home on the 22nd of March. That's the very least. Okay. The Knicks, clearly, they're good enough to be a playoff team. They will be a playoff team. But again, their bread is buttered by what their all-star point guard can and cannot do. And him with an ankle injury and being out of the lineup is definitely a tough stretch for this team. But nonetheless, if you're Tibbs and the Knicks, it's gut check time, in my opinion. It's time to roll up the sleeves. It's time to go to work, and it's time to see who is going to step up in the absence of Jalen Brunson. I still think the Knicks are a tier or so under the Cavs and the Celtics for those top teams in the Eastern Conference. And like I said before, they've got to pay attention because the Bucks are knocking on the door. And that's important because if you go from that 3 line to that 4 line, that means you got to face the Cavs in round number 2 as opposed to possibly in the Eastern Conference Finals. But nonetheless, either way, the Knicks would still have to tangle with the Celtics in round number 2 if they were the 3 seed. And again, so far this season, it has not been good for the Knicks against the Cavaliers, the Celtics, and honestly, the NBA's elite overall. So the Brunson injury is big. Like I said before, let's see how long he's going to be out. Let's see how healthy and effective that number 11 will be for the Knicks when he returns. And then, of course, let's see how New York is going to be able to weather the storm without their best player. Tough times for injuries. Of course, injuries never really take holidays in the realm of professional sports. But like I said, let's see how the Knicks step up without their leader. But folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Also, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 pounds of sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I'm signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.